When the beast learned to stand guard. The kingdom had always known fear, even when it pretended to know peace. Stone walls stood tall, banners flew proudly, and the throne glittered under golden light. But beneath all that beauty lived the memory of fire. Villages erased, borders soaked in blood, and behind most of it stood one man, General Kael. He was the queen's right hand, the weapon she never lifted but everyone saw. Kael believed power was the only truth that mattered. Mercy, to him, was weakness dressed in lies. He did not enjoy cruelty for pleasure, but he believed it was necessary. If fear kept the kingdom standing, then fear was sacred. People didn't whisper his name, they avoided it. Queen Seraphina had ruled quietly beside him for years. She let the world believe Kael was her shield, her strength, even her will. But while Kael conquered outward, Seraphina worked inward. She listened, she remembered. She collected truths the way others collected weapons. She never confronted Kael in anger. She waited. By the time Kael sensed something was wrong, it was already too late. There was no dramatic arrest, no chains, no guards storming in, just a private summons to the throne room and doors that closed softly behind him. Seraphina faced him not as a queen desperate for control, but as a ruler certain of her ground. She laid the evidence before him, documents, testimonies, sealed orders bearing his own signature, proof of war crimes that could not be defended as strategy anymore. For the first time, Kael had no answer. Seraphina did not shout, she did not accuse, she simply offered him a choice. A public trial, exposure, execution, his name remembered forever as a monster. Or something worse, a chance to live. She was building a new peace army, soldiers trained not to dominate, but to protect. No ranks of power, no political shield, no glory. If Kael chose this path, he would start as nothing, a foot soldier, obedient, anonymous, forced to rebuild what he destroyed with his own hands. Redemption, Seraphina said quietly, is not forgiveness. It is responsibility without end. Kael understood immediately. Death would have been easier, and still he chose redemption. The general vanished overnight. No announcements, no ceremonies. The people celebrated quietly, believing justice had been done. But far from the capital, a man with scarred hands and a nameless uniform began a life that stripped him more brutally than any execution could have. Kael was sent to the borderlands, the same lands he had once turned to ash. The people there did not know his face, but they knew the uniform, and they hated it. They threw stones, they cursed, they watched him with eyes that dared him to fail. He rebuilt homes where families had once screamed. He buried the dead whose names he never learned. He escorted refugees who flinched whenever he spoke. He followed orders given by soldiers young enough to be his children. And every night, the silence crushed him. The past did not let him sleep. Faces came back. Choices returned. For the first time, Kael could not justify them. Strength no longer protected him from guilt. Power was gone, and without it, he had to face himself. Slowly, something changed. Not forgiveness, not peace, understanding. He learned to stand watch without assuming violence, to listen without planning dominance, to protect without controlling. When danger came, he put himself between harm and the helpless, not because it was ordered, but because it was right. One night, bandits attacked a refugee convoy. Kael was told to hold position. Old instincts screamed at him to slaughter the attackers, to end it fast and brutally. Instead, he shielded the refugees with his body, taking wounds meant for strangers. He fought carefully, defensively, stopping violence rather than escalating it. When it was over, he collapsed, bleeding, exhausted, unnoticed. A small child he had saved sat beside him and silently offered him bread. No fear, no hatred, just trust. It broke him more than any blade ever had. Years passed like this. Kael never asked for recognition, never spoke of his past. People began to notice him not as a threat, but as a presence. The man who repaired walls at dawn, who took the longest watches, who never walked away from suffering. Queen Seraphina watched from a distance. She never intervened, never praised him publicly. Redemption, she believed, must be chosen every single day, or it meant nothing. When war came again from the north, Kael stood among the soldiers, not as a leader, but as part of the line. When fear spread and formation broke, eyes turned to him instinctively. He did not command. He stood firm, and others stood with him. The kingdom survived not through terror, but unity, not through fear, but discipline. When victory came, Kael returned to his duties without celebration. Only then did Seraphina summon him again. "You have changed," she said. "I am still guilty," he replied. She nodded. "Good. That means you remember." She offered him no throne, no title, no forgiveness, only the chance to train others, to teach them what war truly costs and why peace must be guarded, not imposed. Kael bowed, not as a general, but as a guardian. History would never fully cleanse his name, and it shouldn't, but along the borders of Aurelian, children slept without fear, villages remained standing, and the man who once ruled by terror now stood quietly at the gates, protecting a kingdom he had nearly destroyed.